Oh, and that silent intro, you gotta love it. I don't know, Stream Me was lagging for some reason, but we are up and running. And welcome everybody to the stream as usual. Very short notice announcement. I never have these things planned properly. I'd say I would work on that, but I'd be lying. Well, if you're if you're looking for entertainment, hopefully you've come to the right place. I did tweet this out, but I'm not sure how many people are available on a Saturday morning. But that's all right. We'll soldier on. So, right off the bat, yeah, we will definitely see. Boogie2988, the master of pandering and sucking up to people that will never ever care about anything that he has to say because they've already made up their minds. I mean, if a person could believe that someone like Boogie is a Nazi or supports Nazis in any way, do you really expect them to change their minds even with so-called proof that he doesn't support this ideology? So he writes, hashtag fuck Nazis. Stunning and brave. Definitely stunning and brave. Can we get 1,000 retweets? At the time that I screen capped it, it had half of that, about half of that. Getting close. I'm sure he'll get them. There's enough people out there that love empty virtue signaling that will pick up on this, and they'll think that, you know, by retweeting this, they're going to show people that they're one of the good guys. The only problem with that is the people who are convinced in the audience that actually believe there are all these Nazi supporters are never going to change their minds based on a retweet. He says, some idiots seem to think me and my audience tolerate Nazis. Let's prove those idiots wrong. Basically, all you're doing here is, you know, proving it to the people that already know and therefore don't need proof. The people that unironically believe that there are a bunch of Nazi supporters following some fat YouTube guy are out of their minds. They're the people that have diluted the term Nazi to mean something that basically just means person who disagrees with me. And who gives a shit if they are, seriously. Yeah, I mean, look, when you are somebody that puts out videos or does streams or some shit like that, you can't control who is in your audience. Now, if somebody in your audience approaches you with an opinion that you don't like, obviously you could tell them you disagree, you could tell them fuck off, you could tell them whatever you want. But to say that, you know, you're going to be this quote-unquote content creator and not have anybody in your audience that is disagreeable or that is potentially a bad person is just absolutely insane. I mean, coming out and making a statement like this is basically the equivalent of saying rape is bad. Everybody knows rape is bad. Even rapists know rape is bad, which is why they try to hide the fact that they're rapists. Otherwise, you know, they'd be out and proud about this. It's such a stupid thing to do, to come out and make this statement that, you know, basically most reasonable people would agree with. The only people that support Nazis are, let's see, people that are trying to be edgy on the internet, and then the actual Nazis. It's so retarded. It's, as Punished says here, it's one of the safest things to say because you know that, you know, more often than not, you're going to get blind praise and agreement for making that statement. And personally, I think it's a really stupid one to make just by the fact that it's not like the world is currently overwhelmed with actual Nazis. They're gone for the most part. You know, of course, you got the so-called neo-Nazi groups, but I'm fairly certain their numbers are not significant by any means. And they're basically ostracized from society because nobody agrees with them. At least nobody that, doesn't already support the ideology. So to come out and stand against this is just absolutely absurd when they're already pretty much on the outskirts of society and not really respected by anybody other than the people that agree with them, which, as I've said, the numbers seem to be very few. The problem here is that people have kind of blurred the definition of what this word means. It's completely overused. It's basically lost all meaning. And honestly, when somebody calls somebody else a Nazi at this point, I kind of just assume that it basically just means somebody made a point that that they didn't like. Because that's what it's become. It's basically been thrown in with the other labels, such as MRA or incel. Any of the terms that they'll throw at somebody to kind of just invalidate their point without actually really taking a look at it. Now, of course, you can make the argument that happens from both sides of the spectrum, where you have people that overuse the term SJW and they'll kind of just throw it at anything and everything that they find disagreeable. But that kind of thing happens when you come up with these labels for other people. So is calling someone a racist pretty much lost any real meaning? Yeah, Polly the polar bear, you would know all about that. Considering the video that got you kicked off of Mundane Matt's channel. Oh, for shame. Yeah, all of these labels have pretty much just become an insult to kind of write off the other person. And it's more of a conversation ender than it is a conversation starter. Because once you are perceived as either, racist or Nazi or whatever the fuck else they want to throw at you, these are the kind of people that will no longer listen to anything you have to say. And so your point, basically, no matter how good it is, no matter how much sense your argument makes, it won't matter to these people because you have been deemed evil, the enemy, someone that must be defeated at all costs. There was something earlier in the week that Boogie said as well. I think I also screen capped it. Let me do a little scrolling here and find. Okay, this was the one. This is he's so embarrassing and cringeworthy. I am a dumb old idiot who says some really stupid shit that I've learned from and grown and allows me to try to a better ally. Of course he means be a better ally, but he's not very good at spell checking his posts. But can we see, I think he means set aside politics for one night to celebrate the hobby we all love so dearly. When it's over, I will keep trying to do better, promise. I think he's talking about this was made during the Game Awards or whatever. I didn't watch them, so the only thing I know about it is that some furry won, and he was claiming that he was oppressed, and he somehow overcame his oppression to become an award-winning gamer. He's also, he's the queer black furry. That's it. He had to throw his identity out there because that somehow matters. But this is just stupid. The whole ally thing is absolutely cringe-inducing to me. It's like, why would you ever... I know what they're trying to say. They're trying to say, oh, I support the rights of these people because they're oppressed and all those other, stupid words, marginalization and whatnot. But honestly, if you believe that these people are oppressed in the Western world, at this point, I really just think you're out of your mind. Everybody has more opportunities and comforts than they've ever had before in any kind of society, and it's still not enough. And so they just keep finding new problems to kind of say, oh, I'm oppressed. Are you oppressed? No, you're probably not, because you're a cis, white, straight male or whatever, which means your life can have no issues, and everything's perfect for you. Of course, Boogie is half oppressed because he's overweight, and as we all know, that is an oppressed identity. But he seems to think that by putting this out there, by saying these things, that people are going to respect him more. They're going to see him as one of the good guys. you know, a very caring person that's all about tolerance and kindness. It's so stupid. I can't deal with it anymore. I can't deal with the fact that there are people out there that actually want to kind of just prop up these identities when it says nothing about the quality of that individual. You can be a gay person and a horrible person. You could be a brown person and a horrible person. You know, those things aren't mutually exclusive, and it's so retarded to keep seeing people blindly defend these group identities just on the assumption that they're poor, oppressed people that need our help. And if anything, the whole ally thing seems like it would be considered kind of offensive. I mean, isn't that where the concept of the whole white savior concept came from, where, you know, the white person just feels automatic guilt for their identity, and they're going to act like they're the ones who are going to save the poor, oppressed individual from their struggle. Quite the assumption. There's just so much stupidity out there, which leads me to the next little snippet of stupidity that I came across. And it was a response to a post Nick Fuentes made. He says, "Who could have guessed that redefining marriage to accommodate homosexuals was only the first phase of a systematic effort to undermine the traditional family? Oh wait, everybody with common sense did." And the reply is, "There's no such thing as a traditional family. Families come in all shapes and sizes and have for centuries." What a woke take that is. Now, I replied to this, and then some people pointed out the guy's last name, which, yes, I noticed. But the point that I was making was that, you know, traditional family obviously means mother, father, children. Obviously, there can be, you know, additions or subtractions from that equation, but nature itself basically requires a mother and a father to bear children, so that is obviously the standard. I don't know why that has to be offensive to these people, but of course it does. And so they want to break down that concept and pretend that it just doesn't exist. But here's the thing. If traditional family doesn't exist, if there's no such thing as traditional family, why is it that they feel the need to try so hard to deconstruct this concept? I mean, after all, they said it doesn't exist. What is there to defeat? But of course, you know, their perception is that it's just the social construct. We can change it. Anything that is socially constructed can be changed. You know, because apparently social constructs don't have any basis in nature. They act like social constructs were just these arbitrary concepts pulled out of a hat. They like to ignore the fact that nature plays a role in how social concepts or social constructs develop. Okay? Obviously, the necessity for the traditional family came from the fact that in nature there is a woman and a man, and that's how you bear children. And each parent took on a different role in child rearing, even from just a, you know, biological perspective. The mother provides nutrition for the child, which is, you know, something the man can't really do in the sense of milk. So it's absurd to just kind of remove that natural aspect from the equation and pretend that, you know, society just came up with these things in order to oppress certain identities. There's no real reason for it. It's just to be mean to other people that don't happen to fit the mold. It's so stupid. What else can you say to people that are so deluded that they just think that these concepts were invented to hurt others rather than to, you know, cultivate an environment in which people can, you know, raise children, become the best possible versions of themselves they can possibly be, and, you know, do the same for their families. But no, it's all about holding back the oppressed person, whoever that may be. I guess in this case it would probably be gays or something like that. You can't win. It's gotten to the point where, you know, everything on the outskirts of society must be propped up and defended. We talked a little bit about Christmas on the last episode, and how I believe there was the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer situation and the Baby It's Cold Outside song, which we somehow revisit every year. But I found another one that I wanted to go over. Excuse me. And this one is kind of funny just because the person that tried it, they ended up getting put on a leave. But we'll get to that. I'm going to play the video real quick. I believe this is the Tucker Carlson clip. And we'll sit back and watch this real quick. 4 minutes. Yeah, this one's 4 minutes long, and I think it is going to actually segue into our next topic, so we'll let it play.
Well, the war on Christmas is totally fake. They always tell you that on TV, but it's also underway again and got off to a hot start last week with the left launching a new offensive against Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Now the war machine is opening up new fronts faster than we can keep up, but we're trying. An elementary school principal in Nebraska has banned a whole swath of Christmas-related items from his school. That would include Christmas trees, elves, Santa, and red-green color combinations. How about candy canes? Are they allowed? No. They're banned too. Why? Because they're in the shape of a J, which represents Jesus. Mark Stein is an author and columnist. He joins us tonight. You know, I just want to say again, the war on Christmas is not real, Mark, so stop talking about it, you right-wing Fox guy.
Yeah, entirely fictitious. Yeah. Okay, I'll bite on that and go back a couple of centuries, Tucker. You know, the separation of church and state, when the founders came up with it, it's basically that they didn't want President Washington being the head of the Church of America as the Queen is head of the Church of England. That's it. They didn't want the Archbishop of Virginia sitting in the Senate as the Archbishop of Canterbury sits in the House of Lords. And like a lot of sane concepts, it's metastasized into something utterly insane. And when you're actually banning colors, when you're banning two of the colors on the color spectrum, red and green, so there's only orange, yellow, and blue left, you're bonkers. You're nuts. You've flown the coop of reality. You are living in a more bizarre fantasy than Santa and his reindeer and his elves could ever come up with.
You just banned starboard and port. How dare you? Okay, another thing. A Minnesota State University professor tweeted this week that Mary the Virgin could not have consented to the conception of Christ.
Yeah, this is the next
God
article that I'm going to look at.
In a, quote, predatory manner. That professor whose salary is paid for by taxpayers also tweeted himself decorating a Christmas tree with satanic ornaments. Have you taken any of his classes, Mark Stein?
No, and the reason is, this is the thing, that this is because 50 years ago this kind of shallow banality would have been the province of a drunk undergraduate at 3 in the morning. I mean, basically the idea that God has gotten the Virgin Mary back to his pad, and she's saying, I really must go, and he's saying, baby, it's cold outside, and put some records on while I pour. I miss the days when atheists were at least intelligent enough to take seriously what they were purporting to knock down. The stupidity and banality and shallowness and reductiveness of this is a dismal comment on the state of atheism in America.
And it's not even brave. They'd never criticize Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, or Apple, Tim Cook, or Google. They suck up to people in power and then beat up on evangelicals and call themselves, you know, countercultural.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's pathetic.
And they don't seem to make as the same kind of Ramadan jokes as they do Christmas jokes. No, it's odd that, isn't it? I wonder why that is, Tucker.
Huh. So you mean this community college professor, whatever this guy is not attacking Muhammad?
No, 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 no. This is the card. This is cardboard. This is cardboard courage. By the way, from teachers, even if you're an atheist, the greatest glories of Western. To go back to what Heather was saying, the greatest glories of Western music, art, architecture, painting were in the cause of Christianity. You're cutting out Botticelli and all the rest of it.
Well, the university wouldn't exist without it. So, right. But
No, 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 no. From Botticelli to Frosty.
Exactly.
That's a very short lead.
So good.
Rudolph and Leonardo, all gone. All gotta go.
It's the Cultural Revolution. See ya.
All right, that's it for that. Let's check out what the actual article says. It's absolutely absurd, though. An elementary school principal in Nebraska was placed on leave after telling teachers to avoid decorating their classrooms with Christmas-themed ornamentations so as not to offend those who don't celebrate the holiday. You know, my question has always been that just because you personally don't celebrate something, why is it automatically offensive for you to view anything that is related to it? Seems a little bit immature on, on their part, but I guess we always have to cater to those people for some reason. And my question would be, how many people actually are offended? It seems as though they kind of always blow it out of proportion to just sort of impose these rules. The principal at Manchester Elementary School, identified by Fox affiliate KPTM as Jennifer Sinclair, sent out a memo earlier this week with guidelines as to what is considered appropriate for classroom decorations and assignments. Teachers were reportedly told that generic winter-themed items, such as sledding and scarves, and the Frozen character Olaf, were acceptable. I guess Olaf and Frozen are now winter-themed traditions in society, and it's time to just, let it go when it comes to Christmas. Decorations that included Santa, Christmas trees, reindeer, actual animals and trees, green and red colored items, and even candy canes, however, were not acceptable for the elementary school. I mean, does this mean that green and red is banned all year long, or is it only because you can conflate it with the holiday at a certain time of year? And isn't white also included there? I mean, what about snow? And what about the traditional, there's that word again, candy cane? I don't celebrate the Super Bowl, but I don't get offended at those who do. Exactly, right? That's definitely not something that I celebrate either. It's just getting so pathetic. It's like, it's basically the no fun allowed meme at this point. The candy canes, according to KETV, were prohibited because Sinclair deemed them to have religious significance. Historically, the shape is a J for Jesus, the red is for the blood of Christ, and the white is a symbol of his resurrection, she reportedly wrote. This would also include different colored candy canes. I guess I'm not up to date on my candy cane lore. I've never actually looked into it, but is that really true? Is that true, or is that just some manipulation of the of the history? And I mean, that's pretty dumb too. So what about the letter T? Is that going to be, viewed as a cross, and therefore we have to ban that? Does that mean that the LGBT has to drop the T from the initialism because, somebody might get trans confused for the cross? Is that what's going to happen? Of course it's not going to happen, because, you can't do anything like that. That's their protected classes. So I feel uncomfortable that I have to get this specific, but for everyone's comfort, I will. Who is uncomfortable? I want to see, one complaint. Is there an anonymous complaint box that, that one person kind of stuck a little note in? Were they trolling? What happened here? Who's bothered by this? Elkhorn School District told Fox News in a statement that the memo does not reflect the policy of Elkhorn Public Schools regarding holiday symbols in the school. The district policy states that Christmas trees, Santa Claus, and Easter eggs, and bunnies are considered to be secular seasonal symbols and may be displayed as teaching aids, provided they do not disrupt the instructional program for students. So, Sinclair was placed on administrative leave as of Thursday morning because, you know, these people like to go above and beyond what they're allowed to do, and they want to pretend they're doing it on behalf of everybody else, but what they're really doing is trying to impose their own belief system on everybody else and kind of ruin it. So it says that's true, similar to the X and Xmas. There's Christian symbolism behind it, but it's not obvious. Okay, well, there we go then. So the thing is like, nobody I know looks at it that way. Even some semi-religious people that I am, you know, acquainted with don't view it that way. I mean, let's be real. Christmas has become more commercialized over the years, obviously. I mean, you have people that go out on Thanksgiving Day to, you know, get the best sales just in time to purchase all their Christmas gifts for family members. It's a commercial holiday. There are very few people that look at it from a purely religious perspective. You know, Santa Claus is not Jesus. It's not the same thing. Exactly. Christmas isn't even religious anymore. It's sort of been, you know, it's been co-opted by society itself. It's basically just an excuse to buy each other gifts. And, you know, I try to not look at it that way. Obviously, you know, I do partake in gift giving and receiving, but I don't think the most important thing is, you know, how many expensive items you get. And of course, the reason that corporations push that is because they want to sell as many products as they possibly can during the holiday season. And it works out quite well for them because, you know, people are very prone to fall for this type of marketing. It works. I mean, how early in the year do you see them pushing Christmas items? I'm pretty sure a lot of stores I've been to, they put Christmas stuff out after Halloween, before Thanksgiving even takes place. So they kind of just pass right over that and are like, get those Christmas items out. It's that time of year. You know, to be fair, in my family, we would, you know, put up the tree the day after Halloween and get the Christmas lights out and whatnot. But that's just sort of a, you know, a decorative tradition. It's absurd to me that people are so bothered by this holiday that they feel the need to just kind of try to erase it. Why would it ever matter that much? If you don't celebrate, just move on with your life. That's all there is to it. You just go on with your day. You know, you ignore it. And even if somebody does the worst offense and they happen to wish you a Merry Christmas when you don't, you know, you don't celebrate Christmas yourself, you just say thanks, you too. And that's all you have to do. That's it. You don't have to say, well, actually, I don't celebrate Christmas. I celebrate blah, 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 blah. It's like, why? Why do you need to go into that? It's just a gesture of kindness. There's no hidden meaning that is trying to impose this upon you. It's just an expression of well wishes. And to have to try to read into it as anything more is just, you're going too far. Like, for example, you know, if somebody wished me some sort of holiday that I don't celebrate, I would just say thanks, you too. That's it. The only way that I would go further into detail is if somebody asked me, oh, do you celebrate this? Or, you know, what is your specific affiliation or whatever? That's it. But from a day-to-day perspective, you know, random stranger, say you're at work or just on the bus, anywhere, it's not that deep. It's just an expression of well wishes and nothing more. And that leads us to what we saw in the second half of the Tucker video, where the professor is trying to turn the Virgin Mary story into a story about consent. Yes, we have gone there. Now, not only is it, you know, blasphemous, well, that's an ironic use of blasphemous, to display religious, you know, symbolism or anything of the sort. Now God is being deemed a rapist by some idiotic professor. But I thought he wasn't real. How, you know, how can it be? All right. God the Father fell under scrutiny Monday when Minnesota State University Associate Professor Eric Sprankle accused the creator of the universe of impregnating the Virgin Mary, Mother of Jesus, without consent. Looks like Mary just got Me Too'd. Sprankle, who is a clinical psychologist at Minnesota State University, Mankato, suggested that the Me Too movement should also be outraged over Christmas, stating, "The virgin birth story is about an all-knowing, all-powerful deity impregnating a human teen. There is no definition of consent that would include that scenario. Happy holidays," the professor concluded. Of course he had to throw in happy holidays just to try to trigger the people that would say Merry Christmas. You ever notice how a lot of these nut jobs are psychologists? What is it? Do they get into this field to try to psychoanalyze themselves and then, sort of project that analysis onto others? Because from what I'm gathering, every time one of these idiots, come up with one of these posts that sort of go semi-viral, it's the most insane shit that you could imagine. I mean, this just sounds like something that an edgy teenager would come up with to try and piss off their religious parents. Come on. How do you unironically believe this? All right, so when another Twitter user challenged Sprankle's assertion, stating that an angel clearly communicated God's plan, to which the Virgin Mary agreed, #consent, the professor doubled down, calling God predatory. To put someone in this position is an unethical abuse of power at best and grossly predatory at worst, he wrote. But it's not an abuse of power to put this take out there, knowing that he's a university professor, right? No misuse of power there. It's okay when I do it. Of course, a plain reading of the biblical text refutes this interpretation of Jesus' birth. The first chapter of Luke shows Mary explicitly in agreement with the angel who foretells her pregnancy by the Holy Spirit. And the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God, and behold, you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. And the Lord God will give to him the throne of his father David, and he will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there will be no end." And Mary said to the angel, "How will this be, since I am a virgin?" Smart Mary. Smart woman. And the angel answered her, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you." Sorry, I have to laugh at the wording. "And the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore, the child to be born will be called Holy, the Son of God. And behold, your relative Elizabeth in her old age has also conceived a son, and this is the 6th month with her who was called barren. For nothing will be impossible with God." And Mary said, "Behold, I am the servant of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word." And the angel departed from her. Well then, would you look at that? Sounds like consent. It sounds like she was okay with this. Interesting. Let's see. The festival known as Christmas is not and was not a fully religious celebration, and the only parts that were recognized as religious by the church were the visits to church and the birth story of Christ. I took a psychology course in university, and it is full of leftist retards like in every university, but this one tries to make it science. I shit-talked them at every opportunity I had. It was fun. Did you get points off for that? You can't Me Too God if he never existed. What now, liberal heathens? Exactly. How do you do that when you don't even believe in the story? I mean, so are you validating it now? Are you saying it's real? Sprankle describes himself as a secularist and regularly promotes Satanism. Surprise. The philosophy which provokes believers with occult imagery, but is primarily an aesthetic, humanistic promotion of self-interest. Who would have guessed? In the past week, he shared a photo of an indoor pine tree topped with a satanic star. Everyone, break out your fedoras. Go hand in hand around the tree. And, get out your Me Too stories. Satanic holiday decor shopping on Etsy is the reason for the season. You know that this is the kind of person that just does this sort of thing for reactions. And, you know, who obviously sees it as perfectly okay for him to impose his bullshit, you know, on the rest of us. But if somebody wants to share theirs, well, you know, then it's problematic. Then we have to point out the flaws in it, or our perceived flaws within it, instead of, you know, looking at the context and seeing it for what it is. They always have to manipulate. Sprankle teaches psychology at Minnesota State, and boy, do I pity the people that learn from him. And his areas of interest include, oh, here we go, understanding sex work stigma and barriers to sex workers' rights, as well as conducting needs assessments for various sectors of the sex industry in Minneapolis, according to the professor's biography page on the university's website. So basically, he's a degenerate. I mean, let's be real. If anyone is going to get a Me Too accusation, it's going to be this guy at some point, right? This is always the way it is. These guys have their hands in all of this, you know, pervy, sexualized stuff, and then, of course, they prop themselves up as some sort of, you know, hero of the cause, when in reality, they're just sort of taking advantage of that position to enact their disgusting behavior upon people that are, you know, sort of in line with this ideology and will fall for it. That's what always happens. We always have some sort of accusation come out against these guys. That is one bland tree. It's worse than the Charlie Brown tree. The male feminist in his natural habitat colleges. Remember on the 17th is National Protect Sex Workers Day, a.k.a. Tumblr Purge. Oh, is that when they're finally going to delete all of the not safe for work content on Tumblr? Oh man, were people pissed off about that? Which kind of, you know, it goes into the next topic, and this one's a bit depressing, but it's actually not new the way that people are treating it. Now, I believe it was back in, I want to say 2015 at some point, I did a stream on my YouTube channel. I did 2 of them, I think, about these so-called NoMAPs, which is, I think, non-offending minor attracted person, which is, you know, code word for pedophile, and a concept called VERPED, which is virtuous pedophile, which is some sort of forum for these retards to congregate and, you know, pat themselves on the back for supposedly being non-offenders in their what they believe to be their sexual orientation. Now, obviously, you know, the credit goes to Nick Monroe here, as it is his thread. But in the past, I have talked about these things and the accounts I saw on Twitter, and, of course, the articles in the media that were pushed. I believe it was called something to the effect of, I'm a pedophile, but I'm not a monster. And it was, what's the guy's name? Ironically, it was Nick something. So maybe somebody in the chat will know, but it's the dude he's an out pedophile. He has a hook hand, and he wrote for Salon a couple of times. I believe those articles have now been removed, and if I'm not mistaken, those articles were removed from Salon when they decided that they wanted to go in on Milo Yiannopoulos for his comments in regards to the underage relationships that he had in his life. So, not an ounce of hypocrisy there on Salon's part. So yeah, they have been claiming that there's an influx of pedophiles on Twitter now, but this is something that I've personally seen for a few years, where you'll come across this weird section of Twitter where they'll have in their bio these code words like map or no map. Nick Bates actually references that virtuous pedo guy in his case. Or Nick Bate. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the other guy's name is Nick as well. I just don't remember the last name. It's sort of on the tip of my tongue. Maybe it'll come to me at some point when we're reading through this. But yeah, I'm not sure if Tumblr is actually the fact that, you know, in preparation for this mass deletion of the content, that people are trying to find new places to congregate. And maybe there has been an increase on Twitter, but I also know that this community has sort of existed for a while now. And I've encountered it and had arguments with them a few times, and their defenses, to say the least, are pretty disturbing. Going to see you scratching, folks in the chat. Remember to stay away from people with All right, see you later, Punished. Thanks for stopping by. All right, here we go. Numerous folks have piped up over the last few days saying there's an influx of pedophiles lurking around on Twitter. Enough so that I figured it's worth taking a look into. So for this thread, I guess I'm Chris Hansen. There we go. Our first predator says they love them little monsters with a taste for children between ages 2 to 11. Oh boy, here we go. My name is Sham. I love them little monsters. Likes children between the ages of 2 to 11. Guilty. In the end, consent is just a legal contract of Western society. There's a disturbing take, if there ever was one. Boy, this is going to get dark really quick. And these are the kind of people that want sympathy for their mental problems. But yet they see no problem making statements like this. Are you kidding me? I just want to grab someone by the shoulders and scream in their face that I'm a nasty pedo and they can't do anything about it, says this second pedophile. Non-exclusive pedophile, in my 20s, lover of video games and all things cute. Don't dox me, please. Hiya, I'm a non-exclusive minor-attracted person. A pedo-hebephile, to be specific. I am entirely committed to never offending, and I hope to be a semi-active member of the MAP community. Hi, everyone hates me for an unchosen trait, and it sucks, and I just want to grab someone by the shoulders and scream in their face that I'm a nasty pedo and they can't do anything about it. I'm so frustrated. I just wish I had IRL anti-contact pedo friends to chat with so I could talk about how much of a pedo I am more openly and just have people around in general who understand. This is actually disturbing to read. And I want to say, okay, maybe some of these are trolling, but unfortunately, I've seen way too many of them that take this so seriously to the point that they have entire blogs dedicated to arguing, why their lifestyle is okay. I love the helmet there, Pharaoh. That's great. It's enough to make you sick. And, I've seen plenty of disturbing shit on the internet, but stuff like this really takes the cake. And, they want you to believe, oh, we're anti-contact, we're never going to act on our identity, but we just can't help who we are. And yet, here they are wanting these so-called anti-contact friends, so they can just do nothing but sit around and indulge in their disturbing fantasy. Tell me again how you're against contact. Because these people don't do anything to instill that sense of security in anybody else. If anything, it just sounds like they're snakes kind of trying to, paint this virtuous portrait of themselves so that they are allowed in places they should not be. The virtuous pedo guy's name is Nick Devon. This is a Salon article about him. Okay. I've actually covered that article on a stream. Let me see. Let me see if I can... Oh, this is one of the articles. Yeah. This is one of the weird... Let me see. Well, maybe we'll pull it up as well. All right, let's continue with this thread here. This third pedophile has forced themselves into a life of activism because of their lust for children. College student in the United States, passionate about science and music, pedophile, Non-offending and anti-contact. DMs always open to anyone. Why do these people always have to signal about what they are? I wrote a story about my sex life, the trauma of discovering my sexual attraction, and medium censorship of the first message that really helped me. If my views on this were not already obvious, child molestation is incredibly harmful. Viewing child sexual exploitation materials is incredibly harmful. It is possible, I'm fucking fumbling, possible to be pedophilic and still advocate against the abuse of children. For myself, I see it as a necessity. Being a pedophile isn't wrong. You can't make a moral judgment about someone for having pedophilia. It's not a choice. How do people not understand this? How do these people not understand that if when it involves endangering a category of person who cannot really defend themselves against these sort of predators, that you're going to have people making moral judgments about it? It's a natural reaction to want to protect the youth of your kind, okay? That is a natural instinct, you know, instilled by biology. It's not a social construct to defend the children, okay? There are reasons for it. One of those reasons is to keep psychos like you away from them. I can't. Oh, this is... Our fourth pedophile has a cat as their avatar. The Twitter version of Candy in a van. It really is. Don't ruin the cat like this. Just don't. 21-year-old non-offending anti-contact map. Feel free to follow and message. Well, you heard him. Feel free to follow and message. The attraction is not a choice, and therefore neither right nor wrong. Thoughts are amoral. Only actions can define someone's morality. Look, while I don't think you can necessarily get someone for thought crime, you can think amoral thoughts. I mean, that's obvious. You know, thoughts are a conceptualization. Thoughts, to an extent, can, of course, lead to action. Your beliefs obviously inspire the way you behave in some way. I love when people say we want to legalize pedophilia. Do you guys know how words work? Unchosen attractions aren't crimes. Well, actually, it's a crime to act upon that so-called unchosen attraction. Anyone else find the emotional aspect of their attraction countless times more difficult to deal with than the sexual aspect? And this one's from a year ago, so this is even before the whole Tumblr purge thing. So now I guess we learned some lessons. Pedophiles use the term map and NoMAP, so normies don't catch on to the fact that these are pedophiles hiding out in broad daylight. Oh, I've learned that a few years ago. Amos Yee. This guy's a fucking idiot. I feel as though we can have a merger soon between the pedophiles, the anime fans, and the autistic furries. Chris Adams here is coming to terms that I'm attracted to female children. Please don't hate me. NoMAP, not a pederast. Come on, man. Please use the term maps or no maps rather than the P word. Thanks, XX. Nah, dude, map, no map. What is this, fucking geography? Those terms aren't recognizable. Sorry I use terms that are familiar to majority of people in the world so I can actually create change. This kid, has Amos Yee been sent home yet? Has he been flung over the wall? Has he been deported from the U.S.? Because this kid is nothing but a piece of shit. Even when he was back bitching about his little religious persecution from Singapore, I thought he was a piece of garbage, okay? There was just something about this moron, this smug little greasy slime ball that just turned me off to, you know, his character instantly. And then, of course, later it comes out that he's into this whole defend the sex offenders thing. It's just, you can't make this stuff up. Make electroshock therapy great again. In the olden days, teen-attracted guys would just marry a 16 to 18-year-old, depending on state law, and have a good family. Child molesters would be sunsetted by the child's father. Chemical castration needs to be a more common punishment in court, or old-fashioned castration. As far as I know, he's still in the U.S., but he was kicked out of his last home because he's willing to die on this pedophiles did nothing wrong thing. Yeah, I think it was because there was other kids in the house, if I'm not mistaken, from hearing the whole story. It's been a while, though, so I don't remember all of the specifics, but can't say that I blame the people that were in the house. But I really have to wonder how this kid is lingering here. Like, what does he do? Isn't he probably, what, 19 or so by now? Doesn't he have to get a job or something? Why is he just sitting around and, you know, trying to die on this hill? Today, everyone thinks that because they have lust for disgusting things, they should be pandered to. That's really what it seems like. It's like we're in an upside-down world where, you know, everything that was once bad is now good. Just now I was referring to Amos Yee, but more generally speaking, we're talking about this whole so-called non-offending pedophiles thing that's been popping up on Twitter more. Yeah, and, you know, the reason it's happening is because, man, that guy gets government benefits. That just fucking pisses me off. You know, there are people... I know some people are very against it, you know, in all situations, but there are actually people in this country that are from this country that are not here defending pedophiles that, you know, need some sort of assistance, and they can't get it because supposedly they're too well off. And yet we have morons like this, who's not even from here, that is able to receive assistance from our government. It's absurd. Of course, there's one pedophile everyone knows about. Oh, Todd Nickerson. Okay, that's what I was mistaken. I thought his first name was Nick, but it's Todd Nickerson. He's the one who wrote a Salon article, but the website later removed it. And yeah, they retroactively removed it when they wanted to dog on Milo Yiannopoulos for his comments. Yes, he's the one who wrote, "I'm a pedophile, but not a monster." Let's see. Todd Nickerson, a.k.a. Frankenclaw. I guess he's trying to own the fact that he has the weird hook hand. Writer, artist / graphics guy, and NoMAP. MAGA trolls insta-blocked. And by MAGA trolls, he means, you know, anybody that's not into the exploitation of children. Oh, man. I like how he, you know, has his location right there in his bio. Stunning and brave. Another pedophile dressed up as a cartoon for their avatar. You know, they're really giving a bad name to the people who use the cartoon profiles. This person's account isn't exactly active, but there's enough here to show they have another account somewhere on Twitter. Hi, I'm Laz/Lop. I'm a non-offending anti-contact map. Anyone who believes that kids with an unchosen trait deserve to be killed is absolutely more of a danger to children and society than anti-contact maps. Who believes that? Is he talking about himself? Being a map hasn't ever made me want to hurt kids, but it has definitely made me hurt myself. Poor you. You will never understand what it's like to be 12 years old and realize you're attracted to preschool children. The sheer horror, disgust, and self-loathing. The fear of ending up like your abuser and the belief you were better off dead. So this is somebody that was, I guess from what I gather, abused, maybe as a younger child. And as a result, they seem to be finding themselves with some strange desires. See, this is one of the reasons that I'm not necessarily convinced that it's a so-called sexual orientation the way they want to push, because like Dead Cancer Kid says here, so many are abused into becoming pedophiles. There seems to be a lot of cases where the person who does this was abused themselves as a child. So I'm not really convinced that this is just a natural biological inclination from birth. I really don't see it that way. It's the same with gays, though. I have heard situations like that. Not low, punny. She's Pokemon hentai bait as it is. Oh, you know who this is? Well, that's disturbing. It's easier to just say pedophile for this person because they switch their labels around. They, them, NoMAP, call me magic hour. I'm a 20-year-old non-binary ace weirdo who likes cute music, cute aesthetics, and cute people. I'm a non-exclusive NoMAP just trying to exist and be happy. Also, hopefully make other people happy too. Okay, that's a lot of labels. But isn't ace a short for asexual? So if the person is claiming to be asexual and in their terminology means, oh, I don't experience sexual attraction, then how the fuck are they a pedophile? How are they a so-called map? How are you attracted to something if you don't have any sexual attraction? This makes no sense. Zero sense. Have you tried not being a pedophile? No, Susan, I've never actually considered that. Thanks for your input. I'm not a map anymore. If only that were the truth. I'm not going to hate myself for parts of my existence I've tried and failed to somehow suppress or eliminate. I'm a map. I'm fine with that. I've never caused harm to children and never will. Sorry if you're uncomfortable with that, but I couldn't care less how you feel. Oh, I beg to differ. And the reason for that is because these people do nothing but sit around and talk about how everybody is judging them for their issue and that they need to be accepted. You obviously care a great deal about how other people perceive you and think about you. Asexuals aren't asexual. They're just not in touch with their desires. I don't even really think that's a real thing. Obviously, a human being is supposed to have sexual desire. So, in my view, at the very least, it would be some sort of hormonal issue being the reason that you're not, feeling any of that to some extent. But no, apparently it's just another sexuality, perfectly normal. This is a man pretending to be a girl. Yeah, that's usually the way it goes. Well, apparently they're pretending to be a they, them, whatever that is. An it, if you will. Next, this pedophile confesses to a history of choices. Oh boy. Yeah, this is one of the ones I saw yesterday, and it really kind of just, sparked my interest in doing this stream, because it's just absurd that this person is out there and basically admitting to some sort of crime from the sounds of it. Oh no, it's a map. 30. A 30-year-old, I'm assuming man, with some weird little anime boy, or is that even a girl? Is that a girl or a boy? I have no idea. No act, no consume. 1 prior, 0 future. Active therapy, prevents CSA. I don't know what CSA is. Probably child sexual something, perhaps? Destigmatize. Registry reform, don't threaten, it's too funny. Hey, sorry, I don't financially support Scratch Point, but thanks for doing streams. They're generally pretty comfy. Oh, hey, no worries. Just as long as, as long as somebody enjoys them, I appreciate that. It's funny seeing all this hate and stuff go around, because, if I had found people like this to speak to, 7 to 8 years ago, I would have been able to get the help that I needed to prevent the choices that I had ended up making. So, keep on hating these people anyways. Honestly, I kind of feel like you're trapped either way. You, quote-unquote, normalize this, and you're going to make people feel comfortable enough to kind of indulge in their behavior and end up acting on it, or you completely ostracize them from society. Oh, child sexual abuse. Okay, that makes sense. Confederate state of America. Yeah, if only it meant that in this case. Yeah, or you completely ostracize, and they use that as the excuse for why they did it. Oh, well, everybody hates me, and, I had no outlet, so this is what happened. So either way, they have an excuse. You can't win with these people. I mean, I did stop myself. That doesn't matter, though, honestly. I did wrong. This account will probably be deleted pretty quickly. I don't want to give in ever again. I don't want to hurt anyone ever again. If you can offer support, please DM me. I did stop myself. Yeah, after the fact? Is that what you're saying? Excuse me, I lost my voice for a sec there. Let me grab a sip of water. This is just absurd. One prior is more than enough. More than enough to not take this person on their word that they're never going to act, because obviously they did it. This is like the equivalent of, well, a worse scenario, obviously, but this is like, you know, a cheater that's like, habitual cheater that's like, oh, I'll never cheat again. And then, of course, they do, because that's just the way they are. I must admit, I have vastly misunderstood pedophilia for years. The posts I've seen in the last 2 days have shown me that they want the same things I do. To not offend, to get help and support, to protect children, to be recognized as human. Boy, you should have really thought about that before you decided to do whatever it was you did. Somebody want to get, you know, the FBI on this person or something? I wonder if when they say one prior, does that mean that they were actually, you know, convicted of something? Or is this just something that they've kind of admitted to on the internet and somehow think that that's enough to absolve themselves, you know, for whatever they did? We don't normalize desire to murder either. Does it mean people who want to get murdered can get support? Yeah, maybe. It's not worth it to have a culture more permissive of murders. Yeah, it's... They're asking for something that, quite frankly, I don't think they should get. Doesn't one prior require a sex offender registry listing? It does. Definitely does. I'm just curious as to whether or not when they say one prior, they mean that they were criminally charged. Or if, you know, it's just kind of this, here's my online confession, and I'll never do it again. I don't know, but this was one of the more disturbing ones in my view. Not that they all haven't been, but the fact that somebody just admitted it is just, it's crazy. Why would you ever do that? Lori Wright, cue the map. 22, male to female, OSDD1B authors. I don't know what the fuck that is. Lori, non-offending, anti-contact hebephile, 8 to 15, 17 plus. Wait a minute. 8 years old is pedo territory. I thought teenage years was the whole hebephile thing. Zoophile, birds. So we have a parrot rapist on our hands. Not only... Oh, it's like the worst of the worst combined. Honestly, if I were this person, I would have to just put an end to it. How do you live like this? My therapist, who I see weekly, knows that I'm a map and doesn't, like most people who know me, see me as dangerous in any way. I call myself a map, which how Tumblr and Before You Act refer to us, and yes, I'll abstain from any sexual activity with a minor. You know, the people that constantly have to posture about how they are, you know, non-offending and they're never going to do this and they're never going to do that, they're usually the ones you have to look into because they're trying to compensate for something. No, I don't view CP. I've heard Heart Progress is a troll, so I can't speak for them, but Verped is strictly abstaining, and yes, we report. I bet you do. Sort of, we have support networks as opposed to a classic support group, but I'd say it's no less effective when it comes to helping urges. Are you anti-contact or pro when it comes to zoophilia? Oh no. I do believe animals can consent, even though I'd never do anything. You see what I mean? You see? I do believe animals can consent, even though I'd never do it. Well, at that point, what reason do you have to never do it? Anime was ruined before it started. I'm sorry. I have a very difficult time sympathizing with people like this. It may be, you know, for all I know, it may be this internal battle. But when you talk like this, no. Especially the poor birds. Oh, jeez. Hi, just another map who posts like once every 2 months. I'm also a zoophile, but it comes up less often. Why does it have... Oh, my God. Why does it have to come up at all? So Tumblr made a pretty clear choice. These are the messages I got when they recently terminated my account. The first one was my discourse blog, and along with it, my map positivity blog. So a minor attracted person positivity blog. Basically a pro-pedophile blog. Let's be honest about what it was here. The second one was my porn blog, where I posted links to AO3 and reblogged Shota art. Surprise! It's never just one raping fetish, is it? Oh, other specified dissociative disorder. Okay. Nimrod here with all the acronyms. I mean, I could legally fuck 14-year-olds in my country, and there definitely are some that I would have an interest in, but don't do it because I am against the German AOC being that low age of consent, and I don't think that a 14-year-old should fuck a 22-year-old, but go off, I guess. Honestly, it's even hard for me to read that statement. It's so cringe-inducing. I've never claimed my mission is to fight CP. I don't want to expose myself to it, so I leave that to people who are able to do it without too intense distress. I think most maps, including me, are at a disadvantage there. So he has no interest in exposing himself to it, yet he reblogs Shota art, which is basically the equivalent in animated form. Interesting. It's impossible to sympathize, to be honest. It would be like sympathizing with someone that wants to rape your grandmother or something. Can't be done. Yeah, they're basically asking the unaskable. It's really disturbing. So I've wanted to talk about this for a bit now, kinda, but never did. Yesterday I removed the NoMAP from my description and replaced it with just map. No, that is not because I offended. You can put those pitchforks back down. It was something long overdue that only didn't happen sooner because of how inactive I am on Twitter. And if you know me personally, you might know where this is going. I don't, so. The point is that I don't like the NoMAP term for different reasons. Let's dissect this. NoMAP has two different meanings depending on who uses it. A map who is currently not offending, a map who has never offended. And either of those are worse than what you are advocating in what way? Because it sounds all pretty terrible. There's a shoe on head video. We're definitely not going to watch that. But she calls it the Tumblr pedo invasion, which it's inaccurate because, like I said, going back years, I've seen these accounts on here. But I'm not going to be bored to death by shoe on head. 22-year-old anti-contact pedophile abstinent, France. Stop making excuses for your evil, vile, reprobate perversion, sicko. Anyone who would think about hurting children deserves to be executed in the worst way possible. In Minecraft, of course. We don't think about hurting children. We think about having... Oh, my God. All right, well, you guys can see it on the screen. However, IRL, it's not possible without causing harm. Therefore, we chose not to pursue sex with kids. I'm exclusively attracted to boys aged 4 to 14 years old. Before they reach puberty, that's to say. Oh, man. I mean, I already know that you can't make the difference between a child molester and a pedophile, so here it is. Pedophiles are attracted to children, and by the way, that's prepubescent children, so usually under 13. Child molesters molest kids. I'm a pedo, not a child molester. Yeah, the issue with this is the label, the existence of the pedo is what leads to the child molester. You can't really separate them. You can say, okay, this specific person who has those desires hasn't acted on them yet, but can they really truly promise in any believable capacity that they are never going to do anything about it? I mean, would any normal person with, normal attractions honestly be able to completely abstain throughout their whole life? It seems, I don't want to say impossible, but it definitely seems a Herculean task in this kind of world that we live in. Okay, let's see. Trying to justify it through lawyering language. Gays and pedos are cut from the same cloth, in my opinion, which is why gay men and trannies always try to add P to the yeah, the LGBT, whatever the fuck. But that might be a hot take. But it's, okay, I guess there's another conversation going on that I'm missing here. Yeah, you know, I'm not really sure how I feel about the antidepressant thing. At the very least, even if there is some truth to them working, which I don't know, it definitely at least seems like overdiagnosis in a lot of ways. So I'm not sure. I think there's a problem with overdiagnosing mental issues now. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, it's not overdiagnosis, it's just that we're more aware of these things. But, you know, being more aware of these things does cause you to look for those kind of symptoms more. And, you know, obviously in some of these cases, it can be just a misdiagnosis. This one, Pinky swears they've never broken the law. I'm a non-offending, non-exclusive, pansexual minor attracted adult. I'm a father and grandfather. Well, that's not scary at all. Even the FBI knows that there are non-offending minor attracted people. They don't care about us. If you like to fuck kids, you're a fucking weirdo. End of story. I do not like to fuck kids. Do you know what non-offending means? You haven't been caught? Haven't broken the law. Just because you believe I have doesn't make it true. I'm non-offending. Never have and never will. I didn't say I believe that. I don't know this subset existed until today. I don't understand it. It's crazy to me. That is understandable. I was born with these attractions. Wish I didn't have them, but I certainly do not act on them. Never molested or raped. No woman, man, or minor. I'm attracted to all three. So to say only MAPs are capable, we know that's a BS excuse. Somebody that admits that they're... First of all, the pansexual label right there just throws me off. Like, you're out of your mind. There's no such thing. Second, to say that you have these attractions and then like, yeah, I have kids, I have grandkids. I don't know. I mean, even if I were your family, I'd never trust you around them. It's just too weird. It's like, you know, it's like bringing your kid to the playground and leaving them there alone for 6 hours. Well, everything's going to be okay. I trust nothing will happen. NoMAP coward. I'm just a coward. Let me live. I think we'll go with blind agreement there. I'm new and heavily in the closet. 18-year-old female, non-exclusive NoMAP, age of attraction, boys 3 to 12, girls 6 to 12. I ain't never hurt nobody, nor would I ever. I'm in therapy for my mental health. Why do you all think we want to hurt kids? We don't at all. Well, because your attraction is inherently harmful to kids. I mean, that's just the way it is. You can deny reality all you want. That's just stupid. The NoMAP is non-offending minor attracted person. They're really going out there with their identity labels here. Sakura map. Nice, terrible art there. I imagine they drew their own avatar, considering it's a trans woman artist. Technology-loving geek, an anti-contact NoMAP. Yes, that means I'm a pedophile that is against all forms of child abuse, even though your existence leads to child abuse, you know. If you are a hashtag pedophile that needs another to hear you with compassion and without judgment, I'm here for you. Oh no, we're here, we're pedos, get used to it. We just don't believe in abusing children. Yeah, stand on the street with that sign. Go ahead. Being attracted to children isn't a mental illness. It is, however, quite different from same-sex relationships in that a child can never give consent. That being the case, the only ethical thing a minor attracted person can do is never have sex with a child. Why isn't it a mental illness? I mean, there is no use for that kind of attraction. Oh, geez, it's so strange to me. Pedophile is an accurate description of my attractions. Hiding it doesn't change those attractions. I can't help it that people don't use the term correctly. Oh, this is just sick. Pandarv Alice. Normal human being. And then we're going to follow it up with every single label that would run contrary to that. MAP. Non-acting and virtuous. Against all abuse and trying to be a part of the community. Pedophile. Integrity of body and mind. The Netherlands. Well, certainly a Netherland. Pedophiles aren't innocent people and either need to seek intensive cognitive therapy or rot. If someone is sexually attracted to a child, they're not innocent. They, once again, need to seek therapy to correct their behavior or die and rot. Children's safety, protecting pedophiles. Child safety equals protecting pedophiles. Well, there's a hot take for you. Don't forget that preventing abuse saves 2 lives. Well, if abuse happens, both child and pedophile will have to live with the consequences for the rest of their lives. That's implying that every single one of these pedophiles cares about kids, like cares about their well-being over their desires, which, you know, we have seen that that's not the case. I'm pretty sure child safety equals keeping pedophiles as far from children as possible. If you are right, I will kill myself to protect children. Many maps will do so, but our death will not protect children against the 80% of non-pedophiles abusing children. So our death seems fruitless. Therefore, I rather protect children instead of killing myself. Wait a minute. 80% of non-pedophiles abusing children. Does that make sense to you? I mean, if you abuse a child sexually, doesn't that make you a pedophile by definition? Or are they really trying to just be like, well, there's a difference between abusing a child in that way versus being attracted to them? I think you're kind of splitting hairs there if that's the argument they're putting forth. Again, I don't know because they didn't clarify, but what else could it be? Okay, let's see. What else? Man, this thread is fucking long. All right, let me see how many are left here. Almost done. Then we can maybe escape the crazy. I don't fantasize about vampires much. I suppose a 1,000-year-old vampire who still looked like a little girl would work. Oh my gosh. 50-ish-year-old anti-contact pedophile. Virgin. Huh. I like how he had to clarify that there. My fantasies about consensual sex with kids are much like fantasies about sex with vampires. No relation to real world, no actual danger. Except kids exist and vampires, as far as we know, don't. At least in the fantasy way. I don't fantasize about vampires much. I suppose, yeah, that's the one that Nick posted. While I'm attracted to children, I've never felt a strong urge for sexual contact with one. I was afraid of myself when I first realized now I work to make the world better for children and reach out to other pedophiles so they are supported and don't offend. How exactly do these people prevent others from offending? You notice how they keep saying this and yet they don't really explain, you know, what their method is for preventing these acts. Because all I've heard so far is people indulging in their label, their fantasy, their lifestyle. I haven't heard, you know, they kind of like, on one hand, they're like, well, we hate ourselves for it. But then on the other, oh, I can't help it. And I want to find like-minded people so that I can talk about my desires all day. Cynic in chief, they're using their own definitions. Pedo equals attracted to children. People abuse children for different reasons. Power trip, hatred of children, etc. We define pedo as being someone who abuses children no matter the reason. There you go. This is a front. They are identifying each other to distribute. By talking about how great being a pedo is, of course, you think. His Twitter posts are changing the world. Yeah, definitely seems that way. I think they're doing so much here. They're doing God's work. Pure joy and happiness. This guy actually, I wonder if that's his actual photo. I can't even tell if it's like animated or an actual photo. Fan of all things nerdy. Doctor Who, Star Wars, Pixar, Power Rangers, Super Sentai, Marvel. Against child abuse, preventing child exploitation, bilingual, map. It's a good thing I don't wish to fuck anyone then, let alone children. What prompted that post, though? It just seems like they throw these random statements out there, which really just, again, kind of plays into the idea that someone is, you know, overcompensating. They're trying to put that statement out there. If I say it enough times, it'll be the truth. I'm a teenage MAP or minor attracted person. If you would like to find out what it's like to live with minor attraction, please feel free to contact me in DM. Well, you heard him. You want to know what it's like? Feel free to DM. People should express how they feel and not be ashamed. Stop abuse campaign. Well, I am not ashamed to be attracted to children. Huh. See, again. Oh, I don't want to do this. I'm against this. But I'm not ashamed to be this. Those things, in my view, run contrary to each other. If you thought it was such a heinous act, you know, the very idea of it, you would be ashamed that that's something that you're interested in. Let's see. Oh boy, pronouns in the bio. Here we go. 19, he, him. Anti-contact map. Pedo / Nepio? Mostly gay, supporter of all religions and beliefs, furry as fuck, neither liberal nor conservative. As someone who used to struggle with CP, I can relate to your story very, very much. I'm so glad you decided to stay alive. I found it when I was 13, just around the time I was coming to terms with who I am. It used to consume me in my mind every day. Struggled with it, called it my little big secret until I was 17. I never got caught, but I still believe I deserve some punishment. Then turn yourself in. Finally, I dug myself out of the hole on my own. I thought I was alone until I stumbled across Enderfile 2's blog on Medium. That Enderfile person is one of the people that I argued with about this a couple of years ago. The guy's a psycho. That night, I found those blogs changed me forever. I made this Twitter account a few days later and swore to never go down that path again. Used to be addicted to CP. All that's taken care of, I've gotten help from actual professionals. My parents paid for it. They still do. I told them I wanted therapy for other reasons, which were also true, so they didn't know about... Oh, you gotta be kidding. Why is nobody reporting this person? Oh, man. Let's see here. Fantasy multiverse from a Dutch Storm comic series written by Don Lawrence. Seems not to be map content specific, just fantasy. Step 1, alleviate the stigma society has for deviant behaviors. That's the leftist plan. Well, it seems to be doing them wonders so far, because more and more, this just keeps, keeps coming out. Dead cancer kid. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you're looking for your son, I can tell you he's no longer alive, but what I do have are a very particular set of postmodernist theories. Postmodernist theories I've acquired over a very long career. Postmodernist theories that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you give me psychological support now, that'll be the end of it. I will not normalize pedophilia. I will not host pedo pride parades, but if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you, and I will talk to you about maps. How much stuff like this exists in Tumblr before it gets deleted? You know, I'm not sure, but it seems like there is enough for them to be afraid, to delete all of the not safe for work content. Dead cancer kid, you should post that as a Twitter thread or something. Yeah, more about the whole MAP thing. MAP standing for minor attracted person, basically pedo, but doesn't sound as bad. The no stands for no contact, and you definitely shouldn't take their word for it. Yeah, I mean, how could you? Why would you just blindly trust somebody? I mean, what's the worst that happens if you don't trust one of these people? 1, you protect your children or other people's children. And 2, their feelings get hurt. Well, so what? What's worse? Your feelings being hurt or, a child being abused? Tough decision there. I wonder. Get out of here, man. This is so fucked up. Well, this is the end of the thread. It's been a ride. It's just... Oh, wow, here we go. And then there's this guy. Is this real? Sir Pedo is the defender of justice and protector of children. He loves children more than anything, so don't you dare harm them. God, I really hope that's a fucking troll. Because that's just sad. Next it will be, you don't like maps, you're so racist. Someone get that clip of Dora the Explorer singing the map song. You know, I had thought of that before. All right. Well, to finish this out, I guess we will move on to, you know, a lighter topic, because this is just all kinds of disturbing. I'm not sure what the answer is here. I think a lot of these people that are openly admitting to this stuff need to be reported, because some of them obviously haven't been charged for what they've done. And that's disturbing because it's, you know, the precedent is set. They have acted on their urges before, and you can't just take their word for it that they're never going to do it again. You know, there's a difference between reporting somebody because you're offended by what they said versus reporting someone for committing an actual crime. All right, so we're moving on to Bethesda here. And, you know, there was the whole Fallout 76 debacle where, first of all, it's a shitty game from what I understand. Then the collector's edition was supposed to come with some sort of bag, and it turned out to be, you know, not what it was advertised. And so as compensation for that, they gave you like, I don't know, like $5 worth of in-game currency. Before we continue, Nimrod, great job from Nick Rowe exposing maps and educating society. Is there hidden in plain sight? And thanks to you, Scratch Point, for talking about this real world concern. You know, no problem. I don't really feel like it's a great service on my part, but yes, definitely credit to Nick for this. And it's kind of disturbing how they put themselves out there, how they're almost smug about their identity to a certain extent. Okay, so anyway, back to this. So they gave $5 in-game currency as compensation for their bullshit. And then they had set up a system where people could, you know, put in a support ticket to get your refund or get your replacement bag that was promised. And what they ended up doing was exposing their customers. But let's find out how exactly that came to be. The people who have been attempting to get refunds, resolutions, and or replacements for the bags that were promised but never delivered in the Fallout 76 Power Armor Edition have mistakenly been doxxed by Bethesda. Oh, so it turns out they just didn't get bags at all. Unfortunately, this is not hyperbole. Bethesda's ticket support system that customers were supposed to use in order to receive the canvas bag replacement that they were originally promised as part of the $200 Collector's Edition glitched. The glitch made it where personal data, including payment types, personal addresses, photos, and other identifying information were made publicly visible to an uncertain amount of people who were logged into their Bethesda account on the support page of the website. Can this company do anything right? It just seems like this whole thing has been one huge disaster after another, and it culminates in exposing the information of their customers. Is anybody going to trust this company after this ever again? I'm receiving other people's support tickets on my Bethesda account. I have numerous people's receipts for Power Armor set that includes their email and home address and the type of card used. This is not good, right? You think? In short, people were doxxed while trying to resolve a situation that Bethesda created. The issue managed to make its way to the top of the Fallout 76 subreddit, where users joked about the personal information being leaked. User Jesse Pye wrote, I am a gleeful Vault dweller as yourselves, and as of this moment I am receiving every single one of your support tickets on my Bethesda account. Mostly it's your receipts for your Power Armor set requesting a new bag. Those receipts contain all your info, your email and home address, and the card you used to buy this extremely glitched game. I can see the problems you're having with the game. Yes, I'm having them too. And I know a few of you want a refund that Bethesda has said can't happen. I can update your ticket for you if you'd like, and close it. How fun is that? Please rest assured I have no desire to stalk you or mess with your Fallout 76 experience. I just wanted to let you all know that this is happening at the moment. Anyway, I gave Bethesda a heads up via the Twitter, so we will see. let me just finish this out before I bring up one more thing. According to Jesse, there are 8 pages worth of refund requests regarding the Fallout 76 Power Armor Edition. She was able to review all of the support tickets and even communicate with the customers. People who have access to the support ticket information can see everything. Originally, it was believed that just Jesse had access to this information, but it turns out that multiple people were given access to everyone's information who sent in a support ticket regarding the situation involving getting a canvas bag replacement for the cheap nylon bag that Bethesda included in the collector's edition. Okay, maybe there was a bag. I was right the first time. Another user on Reddit shared a photo of having access to all the personal user data from those who submitted the support ticket. Well, what I would like to bring up here is the fact that in this whole mess, Bethesda was more concerned with banning players of this game, you know, some of the few players that they had, for so-called homophobic attacks on other players because the players couldn't handle the banter. They're worried about banning players for life from their game, not worried about the fact that this whole collector's edition thing has been one giant mistake after another. Maybe if you'd pay more attention to your quality control than imposing these stupid, you know, nanny laws on your online games, you would be able to fix these things. But no, let's worry about people hurling insults at each other on online games, because that's never happened at all in the history of online gaming. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable the way that they have just failed at every turn. And now, I mean, something's definitely going to happen here. I imagine that people are going to end up suing them for this, or at the very least, they're going to have to offer some sort of, you know, settlement or compensation, something. Because it just can't be, you know, accepted. This is the kind of error that a giant company like this, you know, just shouldn't be able to make. I understand, you know, games have bugs and, you know, glitches happen, things of that nature. But when it comes to customer security, you really have to step up your game and make sure that you don't leak the information of your customers. I mean, how many people's identities are you going to screw over as a result of this? I would, you know, I don't think anybody who has been screwed over by this will be listening in, but, you know, definitely anybody who has, you know, document this, keep track of it, and definitely watch your payment methods, your bank accounts, your credit cards, because this is fucked up. There's a lot of shit that could happen as a result. Okay, guys, that was the last of this. I think that whole map situation kind of drained a lot of the energy from the room. But I do appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out. All the interactions and all the following and whatnot is appreciated, as always. And I hope you guys can, you know, do something distracting, enjoy your Saturday, and I will definitely see you next time. Follow me on Twitter to keep track of when the next stream will be. Take it easy, guys.